What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the channel. Joseph Gonzalez here, where we keep real estate marketing simple. And in today's video, we're talking about locating seller leads and closing them. We'll see you guys after the intro. Okay, before we get started, one thing to note is that seller leads are completely different than buyer leads. You're like, yeah, Joseph, we know that. But what I want you to keep in mind is seller leads are typically looking for somebody to actually just do the job, where buyer leads are looking for more guidance, like hold my hand, take me through the process, I want to buy a house. So I want to make sure we get that out of the way before we start talking about the actual tactics. So the number one way that most people today and in the past have always found seller leads was the cold call. But I want to take a little bit different strategy. Most of the time, whenever you're cold calling FSBOs, expireds, listings that may have fired the agent for whatever reason. And what typically happens is you have a ton of agents. They all pick up the phone. Let's call it 50 to 80 agents in a day, the day that it goes expired, or the day that it hits the FSBO list and whatever site you're using to find FSBOs. And so these 50 to 80 agents are calling these leads, right? And calling these homeowners and saying the same script. Hey, my name is X, Y, and Z. I have a buyer that may be interested in your house. I would love to come preview it. Typically, there's not a buyer that agent has. And not to say that's a wrong strategy, it's just not very truthful. What I want you to do, instead of actually calling these folks, is I want you to show up at their door. And it's going to be slightly different. And the reason you're going to show up at the door is you're going to be different than 50 to 80 of those realtors, right? You're going to be the one that stands out. I want you to knock on their door, and I want you to actually present them with a pre-listing package. And you can leave it at their door if, during our times that we're having right now in 2021, or if you knock on the door and they invite you in, you can have a conversation with them about why their house went expired. And one thing that I want you, I'll save that to the end. I'm going to give you a bonus tip on actually how to close these people really fast. But number one, instead of cold calling, go door knock and be very specific on who you're door knocking and drop off a pre-listing package. So number one actually led into number two, which is door knocking. So most people go out and they door knock the houses that are in a particular neighborhood, which is farming, right? However, I want you to go door knock, or at least consider door knocking houses of homes that have gone FSBO or expired, right? And the reason I want you to do this is because it's more pinpoint. It's somebody that you know for sure is wanting to sell their house. They just weren't able to sell it because of either pricing, pictures, or whatever happened. So you have this opportunity whenever you have all these homes that hit expired or FSBO on whatever list you're purchasing. And now you're going to talk to specific people. It's quite different than just going and door knocking a particular farm, if you will, or a particular neighborhood. Not saying to stop doing those things. What I'm saying is let's make it more direct, right? Let's go ahead and up our chances to closing these folks. Again, stay to the end. I'm going to give you a bonus tip on how to close these folks. So number three is mailers. Now, before you click off the video and give it a thumbs down, I want you to think about something. Most agents are sending mailers the exact same way, right? They're sending mailers of just sold, which is perfectly fine. But what they're doing is their call to action is the same. So you have to make your call to action different. What I want you to do or consider doing is actually you can go to a QR code maker on the internet and you can actually print out QR codes. And you can make the QR code specific to something that you need it to be. If you haven't heard of a funnel before, essentially a funnel is getting people into a specific place to get them to give you information, you give them something in return. The something in return that we're going to give is a home value. So you can do the just sold and all that stuff, but big on the back of that particular card or the mailer that you're sending out, I want you to put a big old QR code on it that says free home valuation or home evaluation. And what's going to happen is, because we're in 2021 now and phones have moved towards actually just automating the QR code reader. So whenever they open their camera app, you can say open camera app and put it in front of this particular QR code. It'll automatically send them to a website. Now, there are a couple things you can do there. You can pixel them using Facebook. You can Google track them if you want to track them. Now, whenever they put their information in, it's going to come to you, right, if you have your funnel set up properly. And now you can send them a home valuation, or you can send them to your website. I highly recommend that you actually send them to a particular website, not your real estate website, because there's way too much information, too many places for them to go. You want them to do one thing and one thing only, and that's to put their information in to get a home valuation. And now you've got a set of leads that you've mailed, or if you're farming a particular neighborhood, that are actually going to be getting a home valuation specifically from you from a QR code. And most people don't do that because QR codes kind of were way ahead of their time, but now they're actually perfectly timed in our market today. So QR code home valuations sent out as a mailer with just sold in the neighborhood. You'll find this highly, highly effective. Number 4 is motivated sellers. These are people who either got a home through divorce, need to sell their home because of divorce, they inherited a home that's a problem home that they don't want, people who have a home that they need to get out of before it forecloses. Now, these motivated sellers, you're thinking, okay, I need to find motivated sellers. Who are these motivated sellers? There are websites. I'm not going to name any here, but you can Google how to find motivated sellers and what sites give you this information. And so what I want you to do is whenever you're thinking about these motivated sellers is how to have the conversation with them. I want you to think about something that's quite different than most agents will actually talk about. So I want you to go think about it as a wholesaler. So most wholesalers will actually go find these problem properties, and then they'll actually take the problem property and then present it to an agent or to an investor to buy the property for less. You as an agent, I want you to think about this particular person and what situation they're in, and I want you to think about listing the house for 1%. And so the reason I say 1% is because most of them need to get out of the house and they don't have the money to pay closing costs and all these other things. Even though in today's market a lot of the buyers are paying closing costs, this will give that motivated seller that little bit of boost to be able to get out of that house. Now for you, the bonus is you get the house listed, you get it for 1%. If that person ever buys or has family members that are going to sell a house, you're going to get that house. Now, I'm not telling you to be a discount agent or broker or anything like that. I'm just telling you in regard to motivated sellers, how to get them motivated and get that deal. So definitely look for motivated sellers to help them get that property listed. And in the future, you might have more clients come from that, more referrals. And number 5, moving into 2021 and new technology, is actually running Facebook ads to find people who want to get a home valuation. You're going to want to run a Facebook ad, pretty simple. Hey, do you want to find out what your home is worth? And I'll try to put an ad down below that you can copy the text from. But what you're going to do is you're going to create a funnel. You're going to look for lead form on Facebook ads. Those of you who have done it before, if not, I'll probably put all my core stuff on YouTube here pretty soon. You can do it for free or learn how to do it for free. They come into the funnel, they put their information in, they get the home valuation. Once they come to you, you send them a home valuation, you follow up with them via text or email. A lot of you will say, well, that's one way to do it. And that's something that's interesting. But I want to give you a bonus here. So let's call this number 6. So I was talking to one of my friends that I have a podcast with, and we were discussing something very simple to find home buyers, and that's looking on your MLS, going to the rental section in MLS, and see what homes have been rented in the past. That means that house is probably owned by an investor or somebody who's moved out of the house and now renting it to somebody else as a rental property, right? So they're now making income off that property. But in 2021, with home prices skyrocketing, this is a good time to go into that same section. And what you're going to do, instead of looking for buyers, you're going to go into the section and you're going to search for, still look for rental properties, 6 months out, 12 months out, 3 years back, right? And so what you're doing is you're segmenting all these properties that are actual rental properties. And once you find these rental properties, I want you to either go to the house, knock on the door, or I want you to put the tax or go to a tax website, find the information of the actual homeowner, and you can use skip tracing. You don't know what that is, you can Google it, and then you can look up who the homeowner is. And what you do is you take that information, contact that homeowner, and get them a home valuation. The reason you want to do that is because most of them may not even care what their house is worth, or they may not know. They're going to care. They may not know. I can tell you myself as a homeowner that rents out properties, I have, and my wife have been considering selling our property because of the prices that are skyrocketing right now. But we're like, okay, we're having to make this tough decision. Do we do we hold this house as a rental or do we sell it? And so you're going to present the information to this homeowner that has this as a rental property, and maybe they have some problem tenants, maybe they're tired of renting the house out, maybe they just want to get rid of it, or maybe they just want cash. And so now you found these homes, you found that they are rental properties, and now you've got the opportunity to actually present to this person and say, hey, you can make this much money if you decided to sell a house. And by the way, another bonus tip, get them a net sheet, and you can use your title companies if the particular homeowner does want a net sheet from this. So I hope you found these tips helpful. I'm going to give you the bonus tip in just a second on how to close more of these people. Let's go ahead and jump into the bonus tips on how to actually close folks. What we talked about in the beginning of the video was making sure that you understood that sellers don't need somebody to guide them through the process. Most of them probably know how to do this. But what I want you to do is I actually want you to make sure that you're emailing them, following up with them, and just staying in touch with them and getting them anything they need. Remember, our business is a relationship business. It is not just sell, sells all the time. Whenever you're doing this, make sure that you're touching them, reaching out to them via email, via text message, via phone call, right? And those steps are going to help you close more of these folks. And you're just being friendly. Hey, what can I help you with? Hey, James, any questions about the home valuation? Hey, Frank, did you need anything done to the house that I can help you find somebody to come in, a handyman to come in and do some of the work? Your goal is to do everything you can to make sure that you're helping them sell that house, because you will become the listing agent if you do that. Okay, so the number one bonus tip, those of you who want to close more deals. So I was on a call with one of my, or actually I was in a messenger conversation with one of my agents and loan officers that I've worked with in the past. And what he told me was, hey, we have an agent in our office that gets a lot of flack for this, or in our market that gets a lot of flack for this. He lists house for 1%. And the reason he does that is because he gets a guarantee, if you will, on the buy side. So if the home seller buys a new house, guess who gets that deal? They do. This person is a top producer in their market. So if we're talking about motivated sellers, we're talking about sellers in this market. Again, I'm not telling you to go out and be a discount broker or anything like that. But what I'm telling you is you have a fiduciary duty to your client. And if your client wants you to do that and you're going to be able to get the buy side, I'd rather have 4%, right, of the transaction, meaning I get 1% on the list and 3% on the buy. I close a 4% deal versus, hey, I'm going to go out and I'm going to try to close this person on 6%, meaning I get 3% on the sell and 3% on the buy. That can be greedy in some viewpoints, right? And if you are doing this for the sake of helping people and also growing your business at the same time, that's probably going to help you, because these agents that I'm talking about that are doing this, they're $900,000 earners to $1 million, right? So whenever we talk about these particular processes and listing a house for 1%, a lot of people will scoff at it, but they may not be the people that are making $900,000 to $1 million a year. So just keep that in mind. Don't be afraid to present something to expired or FSBO to close more transactions. That may help you go ahead and continue to grow your business as a new agent or a seasoned agent if you're struggling right now. So again, I hope you found these tips helpful. If you did, leave a like, subscribe, drop a comment below if you have any questions about any of these particular strategies, and we'll see you guys in the next video.